Okay, this is Mark meets Matthew Watts, the Digital Creative Director at EHS 4D. Hi Matt.
Hi there.
Can you give us a very quick summary of your career to date?
Sure, yeah. So I went to London College of Printing a few years ago, and
a few years ago, or what year?
Probably, oh my goodness, probably about 95, I think it was when I left there. So a good few years ago, should we say. And whilst I was there, I was given an opportunity to help set up and start a digital agency. And at that time I didn't even have an email address, didn't really understand what the website was, had only just started using online resources in the library to do my essays and thesis and things like that, so it was all pretty new. And next thing I know, I was kind of being hired by a company and asked to kind of set up a company in digital media, so it was all pretty brand new.
What are they called?
They were called Wax New Media.
Yeah, okay.
So they were around a long time ago. And we were basically kind of flat sitting, I guess, in what is now the Westfield shopping centre. So it was a massive disused London underground training centre. It was a big school, and we just sat in there for the first year and a half, not really paying rent. We had those red rad radiators keeping us warm in the winter months, and doing sort of typing with HTML and doing design with fingerless gloves on because we couldn't afford heating. But what we did was we had loads of great clients that we were offering to build a portfolio, so we worked with the likes of Red or Dead and Salon Selected and KP Nuts and some really nice kind of interesting brands just to build a decent portfolio.
And then after that?
Then after that I went to ARC, which was part of Leo Burnett. I was at Bates, Dorland, for a couple of years at Bates Interactive.
What was your job title?
I was a senior designer there.
Okay.
And worked on loads of different accounts there, but again digital was pretty new. It was just when the advertising industry was kind of just getting into it and getting an understanding of what the capability of it was. It tended to be a lot of just standard kind of web builds, a few banners, a few emails, that kind of thing. After that I went to ARC and worked on Fiat and some big car brands over there, and kind of got a taste of working closer with the above the line Leo Burnett offering, and then ARC, which is the kind of...
Was Triangle around then?
No, it was pre-Triangle.
Pre-Triangle?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So,
and after ARC?
After ARC was LIDA, M&C. Did a couple of years there, and that was when the whole kind of... when agencies were really trying to integrate their digital offering into the more traditional offering as well.
So was that when Play was
there as well? Play were there at the same time, yeah, and they were working directly with M&C. I worked more so with LIDA, so it was more the direct side of the business. I think M&C now and LIDA are kind of one entity, which is kind of interesting in its own right as well. So there was actually kind of two digital parts to that business, which was a bit odd really, but yeah, so I spent a couple of years there, and then I moved on to LBI and spent 3 years there, and that was really working totally within the digital environment. So it was quite varied work, but just very digitally focused, and surrounded by loads and loads of digital expertise, and that was kind of a really interesting experience for me as well.
Now you're at EHS 4D. How long have you been here for?
Just coming up for 2 years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. How would you design a spice rack for a blind person?
I think if I were to design a spice rack for a blind person, because a blind person cannot read anything, then therefore I'd do it either by smell, so each little place within the rack would correspond to a smell of a spice, either whether a scratch and sniff sticker or some other kind of device. Maybe a little kind of air pipe that would allow the smells to come out over each area.
Okay. If you could work for any agency on the planet, who would it be?
And I think for the last few years, obviously Crispin Porter have been doing great work, and they always seem to do something that's interesting and it's kind of out there, and they seem to see things from a different angle, so they've been a source of inspiration. So I suppose anyone that inspires you, you want to kind of get closer to them and work with them. Brooklyn Brothers have come over here now, so they seem pretty hot and seem to be doing some pretty cool stuff, so that would be a good one.
So the subservient chicken thing that got you interested in
Yeah, I mean, all that's, yeah, exactly. And they kind of did a succession of firsts, which is always great, you know, if you manage to be the first to do anything, it's always, I guess that's the great thing about digital technology as well, is that there is that opportunity to be first, because it's always changing, and the landscape's always changing, and they managed to do that. So I think that's really interesting. But I think that Terry Jones is a bit of a hero of mine, so he's the editor of ID magazine, so maybe if I wasn't to do anything in this industry, maybe I'd go and seek out working with him.
Okay. Is that from your graphic design appreciation?
I just think that magazine just is fresh every single month, and the photographic styling in the magazine is just superb, and I think it's the best thing out there at the moment.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
God, I don't know, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't know, I want to say flying, but I know that's a really obvious one, and I know a few other people have said that as well, so... damn, I'll just say flying.
Fine, or as having a superpower which could allow you to think of a superpower quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
For you, what's the best thing about agency life?
I think there's a kind of a culture associated with working with agencies, and where you get a lot of talented people together, and you get the other thing is you get talented people together, but you also get people that are genuinely enthusiastic and into what they do. I think everyone within the agencies I've worked with are there for a reason. They know why they're there, and they tend to be just up for doing something really interesting, and it's quite inspiring to be around those people.
How can someone grab your attention creatively?
I suppose it's just about seeing things in a slightly different, unexpected way. Maybe taking something that's quite mundane and flipping it on its head and making something quite surprising out of it. In terms of taking a brief, maybe for an ordinary brand which you wouldn't expect much from, actually, if they turn it in a way that's quite interesting, then that would stand out.
So if a creative team that were looking to get into the industry, or kind of creative people generally looking to get into industry, what advice would you give them to stand out and get in front of you? Apart from bribes, obviously.
Yeah. Damn, I can't even think.
Have there been any innovative ways before that people have tried to grab your attention and stand out?
Yeah, they've just sent me stuff, sent me little kind of mailers with just kind of quirky ideas attached to them, sent me QR codes that when I click on them they give a phone number, just sort of little interesting things that are just above and beyond a normal link to a LinkedIn account or a website.
And do you feel when you receive that it's spam, or are you salivating at the opportunity to really see?
It's a good thing. Yeah, I quite like it. It's quite nice. It's quite flattering that someone wants my attention, and it's always quite interesting to see the clever little ways that they do to grab my attention. So it's always good.
Being a digital creative director, what are your expectations of grabbing your attention? Is it through digital media, or is it through traditional?
I guess digital first and foremost, but I think the idea is the idea that counts much more than that, and if it happens to be expressed digitally, then that's all for the better.
In the current economic climate of things not looking kind of too good, have you ever had the threat of redundancy in your career to date?
I've had plenty of times when it's been a bit tricky, been a bit of a scrape. So whether it's even in good economic times, as an individual, you've always got to remain competitive and keep yourself fresh and stand out a little bit. So, it's never easy, and particularly now it's not easy as well.
Okay, what's been your favourite advertising campaign of all time?
Gosh, that's a massive, big, broad question, but I suppose the thing that just popped into my head was the Old Spice ads just recently. I think that... that was last year, but I just think it was really clever in the way that it was casted and scripted, and then the whole digital component that goes with that as well, with the real-time scripting and the real-time responses from YouTube and via Twitter. that's the way it should be.
And the return on investment for the brand was fantastic.
Oh, exactly, yeah, I mean, enormous. Yeah, I mean, put a kind of a stale brand back on the map and made it super cool again.
And what's been your favourite account to work on in your career?
I think actually, I mean, Peugeot for me has been really good since I've been here. We've had lots of different types of briefs that have come through, some campaign stuff, but also we look after their .co.uk website, so it's really, really broad, and we get a chance to almost do absolutely everything for them.
Do you drive a Peugeot?
I don't drive a Peugeot, no. I drive a Skoda, which is most embarrassing. But they have a very good boot for loading shopping into.
Because you go shopping every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, let's move on to a quick fire round.
Okay.
FWA or NMA?
FWA.
Fruit or veg?
Veg.
Can Lion or D&AD pencil?
Close. D&AD.
Do you have either?
No. Yes, sorry. No, I have a can, yeah. That was many years ago.
Cats or dogs?
Neither.
Art directors or copywriters?
As an art director, I'm obviously torn, but I think usually the copywriters turn out to be the brighter of the two.
Or the more eccentric?
Yeah, or the more eccentric.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Degree or no degree?
I did a degree. I can see its merits from where I come from, but that's not the only way in which we can progress, I think.
Ant or deck?
Neither.
Retained work or pitch work?
Pitch for the buzz. It's a thrill when working on a pitch, but retained for building up a longer term relationship and actually getting to greater work through that way.
Good, safe answer. Web or mobile?
Tricky. Mobiles, the hot topic, and I don't think anyone's really cracked it yet, but there's loads and loads of energy and investment being put into mobile, which really is interesting, but web's still here to stay, isn't it? So.
Okay, so web?
I'll say mobile.
Okay. Independent agencies or networked agencies? What you're allowed to say and what do you want to say?
Well, there's merits in both. Independent can shape their own culture and destiny, and I think it's probably a greater sense of empowerment and belonging and identity by its own culture and its employees. Networked agencies, you can get better access and a bigger access to a broader range of brands.
Outsourced production or on-site production?
I'd prefer on-site.
Okay, and lastly, twist or stick?
Twist.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.